Every AI company seems to be raising prices and lowering limits. But what OpenAI just did is kind of crazy. They just made ChatGPT easier to use and more free. We'll talk about what that means in this week's AI news recap, along with some new models coming out of China, a new Google AI app that they killed before they even launched it, and a whole lot more. If you don't know who I am, my name is Paul J. Lipsky, and every week I help you filter out all the noise and only show you the AI news that actually matters. If that interests you, make sure to subscribe, and now let's get to the news. Let's start with this crazy announcement from OpenAI. There are multiple announcements here actually, and all of them are really good news. So if you remember a few months ago, OpenAI released their newest model, GPT-5.6, and there were 3 different models. There was Sol, the most powerful one, Luna, the weakest one, and in the middle was Terra. And if you came into ChatGPT, right here on the model picker, you could select between all 3 of these and choose the effort level as well. Well, they've now made that a lot simpler and consolidated everything. So when you use chat in ChatGPT now, if you are on one of the paid plans, you no longer get to choose between Sol, Terra, and Luna. You will always be using Sol. And the only option here is to switch the effort level from instant to medium to high to extra high to pro. So that's the only thing that you can change. If you click on advanced now, you can select one of the old models, but you'll notice you can't select Terra or Luna here. Now, if you switch over to ChatGPT Work, on the other hand, you can still select between Terra and Luna, and you can change the effort level as well. This only applies to chat. Overall, I think this is a really smart decision because for a lot of consumers, they just saw this wall of all these different options. Like if you come back to work, how is the average consumer supposed to know the difference between Sol, Terra, and Luna, and all these effort levels and the speed as well? I think it was pretty confusing. So I think it's a pretty smart idea that they just offer Sol now, and the only thing you can change is the effort level. Now, like I said, that only applies to paid users, and it's actually only Pro and Plus users, not Go or free users. If you have a free account or a Go account, however, you will now get unlimited text chats with GPT 5.6 Luna. And let me emphasize this. That is unlimited text chats, as in the limit does not exist. That is completely wild that they are just offering that to the entire world completely for free. And it's going to make it very easy to recommend ChatGPT as a go-to AI chat for anyone who asks, like, what AI chat should I be using? Well, it's kind of hard to beat a great model, a great app at a completely free price with a model that, quite frankly, is still really excellent. I have some more things to share about this announcement from OpenAI, but before we get to that, I want to show you a piece of hardware that gives you a much bigger way to use all these AI tools without carrying another monitor. This segment is sponsored by VITURE and their new Pro 2 XR glasses that can turn a compatible phone, tablet, or computer into a private display right in front of your eyes. Plug these glasses into a USB-C device with DisplayPort Alt mode, and it creates a massive display right in front of your eyes. VITURE says it's the equivalent of a 146-inch full HD screen at 120 Hz and up to 1600 nits. It also comes with Spacewalker, VITURE's companion app for Mac, Windows, and iPhone. On my computer, I can keep an AI agent in a virtual display and my project on the laptop screen. It also weighs just 63 grams, making it 20% lighter and 16% thinner than the previous generation for a more comfortable fit during long sessions. If you wear glasses, its 0 to -5 diopter adjustment means you probably don't need prescription glasses underneath. The nose pads offer 7 height positions, while the temple arms have 3 adjustment positions, so you can dial in the most comfortable fit. After work, it handles regular 2D, side-by-side 3D, Apple Spatial Video, and real-time 2D to 3D conversion. If you want to use this with a Nintendo Switch or Switch 2, you will need the $99 Mobile Dock Mini to send video to the glasses. Its 10,000 milliamp hour battery powers the console and attaches magnetically, so it's very convenient. The Pro 2 is $299, but the 5th anniversary combo with the Dock Mini is $20 off if you use the link below And now back to the news. Okay, so we were talking about how these new updates to ChatGPT only apply to regular ChatGPT chat and not to Work or Codex. So if you primarily use Work or Codex, you might believe that this doesn't apply to you and you shouldn't care about it. But I would argue that you should. With this new update, I think it's more important than ever to really distinguish between when you should use chat and when you should use Work. And if the query that you're putting in can be done more than adequately using chat, then you should use chat, because if you're on a free plan, it's going to be completely free. And if you're on one of the paid plans, it's a separate usage from what you get with ChatGPT Work or Codex. And so it's going to make your limits and your plan go a lot further if you are willing to switch between chat and Work and to know when to do that. So when do you make that distinction? When do you choose chat over ChatGPT Work? Well, I suggest you use ChatGPT chat when you want to ask a question, brainstorm ideas, troubleshoot something, or talk through a decision. ChatGPT Work can be used when you want ChatGPT to actually complete a task for you, especially one that involves files, if you wanted to do research, create spreadsheets, presentations, or anything that requires multiple steps. Maybe a simpler way to remember it is that ChatGPT chat is for answers and Work is for a finished result. For instance, I may ask ChatGPT chat, what is the difference between ChatGPT chat and ChatGPT Work? And for something like this, I just want an instant answer, so I'll slide that down to instant. And here it gives me a quick kind of comparison between the two of them. But if I wanted to actually, let's say I'm planning out a video all about the difference between the two of them, for that, I would use Work. I would ask it something like, I'm making a video about the difference between ChatGPT chat and ChatGPT Work. Can you go out and first find the distinction between the two of them, and then several use cases that I can highlight to show the difference between both of these different tools available inside of ChatGPT, and then put together an outline for a YouTube video. Create that outline in Google Docs. Right here, I'm actually asking it to perform multiple steps, and I want an end product, which is the outline inside of Google Docs. The other part of this I wanted to explore is the unlimited access to Luna. Now, I've played around with Luna a little bit, but only inside of Work, which is definitely going to be a different experience from using it inside of chat. However, what I've seen inside of Work using Luna, I'm quite impressed with. It is a very capable model, and even where I just ask it chat type questions inside of Work, I'm getting really nice answers from it that are more than adequate for what I need. So I think a lot of free users are going to be very happy that they now have unlimited access to Luna. Yeah, so overall, this announcement from OpenAI is kind of crazy, and it's going to really, I think, bring a lot more people into using ChatGPT, because why not? It's now completely free for them to use as long as they are happy with Luna and chat. Next, I want to talk about some models coming out of China, and the first one is Qwen3.8 Max. This is by Alibaba. And what's exciting about this is not only is it a very good model, but it's also open weight. And we're seeing that a lot out of China. They release these really great models and then they make them open source or open weight. And what's also really exciting for us is that they are focusing a lot more on co-work abilities outside of coding. And I think a lot of people realize, these companies realized that people who want to use AI, they're not just developers. They need to make models that work for things like helping us with our emails, drafting documents, different things like that, things that knowledge workers would be using AI for. We saw the same thing last week. Kimi released a model called Kimi K3, and they have a tool called Kimi Work, which is a desktop app specifically for knowledge work. It's very similar to Claude Cowork or ChatGPT Work. Now, I think I gave people the wrong impression last week, and they got the idea that I'm completely against using Chinese models, but that's not true at all. I think as long as you understand the company behind the model and you're comfortable with using it, then you're fine. You can go ahead and use it. I do use Chinese models. I experiment with them and try them. I haven't found a tool that I like more than Claude Cowork or ChatGPT Work or Gemini that has come out of China, but they are catching up. Kimi Work is a great looking tool. And these new models, what's so great about them is that they're really cheap. And so for a lot of knowledge workers, it's a good solution just because of how cheap they are. And because they're open source, open weight, that opens up a lot of possibilities as well. So you definitely want to keep an eye on these and what's happening with them, because they could make access to AI a lot more affordable, especially for companies. We also got 2 new video generation models this past week, and they looked really good. So I wanted to take a quick look at them. The first one is Seedance 2.5. You can see a sample of it playing on the screen, and it looks very impressive. It can also make longer videos up to 30 seconds. So I signed up to try it out. I gave it this prompt telling it I want a 30-second stop motion short film, like this sort of dark, eerie fairy tale atmosphere, and all the characters are carved out of wood. I haven't watched this yet, so let's take a look at this together. Okay, that's terrifying. I don't know what I created here. Let me take a quick look at this. I want to make sure that there's consistency in the face. It looked like it might have changed. So that's what the guy looks like here. He has like these notches at the top. And then later on, I guess he is the same. It just looks a little bit different to me for some reason. Maybe it's just a facial expression. But yeah, overall, I mean, that is pretty impressive. It did take a long time to generate. And for the plan I signed up for, I used all of my credits on this one generation. So it also seems to be expensive. The other one that came out this past week is Qwen3.8, also by Alibaba, which we talked about before. And this one looked really nice as well. Unfortunately, I generated a video with it. It was cheaper than last one. It's been over an hour and it's still going. And so if it's finally available, I'll put it on the screen right now for you to watch. Next, let's talk about some news from Google. If you're a fan of Google AI Studio, which is a tool you can use to create apps or experiment with different models, you may have heard that they are releasing an app for AI Studio so you can use it on the go. This was something that was announced a few months ago at Google I/O, and there was a lot of interest in this. Over 800,000 people pre-ordered the mobile app. But AI Studio just announced that they are not going to create a standalone app for AI Studio, and instead it will just be incorporated into the Gemini app. And this has caused quite a division, with people on one side saying, finally, Google is consolidating some of their products. It's no secret that Google has a ton of different Google AI tools that they've created, and a lot of people think that it is way too scattered and they need to consolidate a lot more. But on the other side, there are a lot of people that are saying, wait, over 800,000 people were interested in this app and you killed it before you even created it. But personally, I think it's a good thing. I like that they are consolidating a bit more because it can be kind of hard to keep up with all the different tools that Google has created. And so the more that we can just go to one place to get the tools and the features that we need, I think that's a good thing. And then let's end the weekly AI news recap with some rapid fire news stories. So first, Cursor, which is a super app that is similar to Codex or Claude Cowork or Claude Code desktop app. They have a new plugin that gives agents direct access to Gmail, Google Drive, Calendar, Docs, and Sheets. So this is, again, a good sign. We love to see that these companies are taking knowledge workers more seriously. The fact that it can now access your Gmail tells us, hey, maybe we can start to use these tools more for knowledge work type tasks. So that's good to see. We also have an announcement from Perplexity. This is a small one, but I wanted to highlight it because I actually think it's pretty significant. So Perplexity Computer, when you use voice mode, it now isolates your voice from everything else, filtering out the background noise, music, and other voices. I think this is pretty cool. I think more apps should be doing this so that we can use voice as an interface in more environments. And, you bring your laptop to a coffee shop and you're trying to use AI dictation or something, and it's not always going to hear you because there's other voices. So if we can really isolate on your voice, the more we see that, I think the better it's going to be. We also have an announcement from WhisperFlow. If you're not familiar with WhisperFlow, this is a voice dictation app. So the way WhisperFlow works is you put your cursor somewhere, you press one key on your computer, that activates WhisperFlow, and now it's listening to you. And when you press that key again, it stops listening and it types out exactly what you said, and it cleans it up. So it removes like ums and filler words, things like that. They just announced a new feature called Note Taker. This will listen in on your meetings if you want it to. You have to give it permission to do that. And it will record the meetings and keep notes for you. It automatically does speaker labeling, and you can ask it for summaries, things like what did I miss, different things like that. So it's a pretty cool addition. Full disclosure, WhisperFlow is a sponsor of my channel, but they are not sponsoring this video. I just thought this was a cool update I wanted to let you all know about because I know a lot of you also use WhisperFlow. And then finally, Google Labs has announced that they are making publicly available to all, not just US-based AI Ultra users, but also Pro users in the United States now get access to Google Dream Beans. And if you're not familiar with Dream Beams, I once called this one of the weirdest Google Labs apps that they've ever released. Let me show you it real quick. So this is it. And the idea is as you use Gemini through the day, it learns about you. And then in the middle of the night, Dream Beans dreams up these new ideas for you. So it knows, for instance, I'm into AI. So it thinks I might be interested in learning about DeepSeek V4. So it produces this little story for me and information that's just like a little snippet. And it always creates this nice looking watercolor-like image. Here's another example. It's kind of hard to do this on my computer. It knows that I'm into Vietnamese food. And so it says, hey, you might want to check out this new place in Boulder, Colorado, where you can get a nice plant-based Vietnamese bowl from this restaurant called Lotus Moon. And you can open any of these up and read all about this. So it says, when you want a clean, refreshing midday meal, consider going to Lotus Moon Veggie World on Pearl Street. And then kind of gives me some of the food that's available there. So the whole idea behind it is that it's supposed to take what it knows you're interested in and give you some ideas of things that you can do or places you can explore or new hobbies that you can try. So it's pretty neat in a way, and definitely also kind of a little bit strange as well. And yeah, I look at it in the morning. I think it's kind of fun. And I've gotten like one or two nice ideas from it that I never would have thought of. And it was only available for Ultra users for a while, but now it's available for Pro users. So check it out. The app is called Dream Beans and see what it dreams up for you. So that's all the news I got for you this week. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel as well so that you can stay informed about all the AI news that actually matters every single week here on the weekly AI News Recap. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.